Okay, everybody, we are back for the sixth episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. A little bit. I kind of like this episode, but they left a few questions hanging up in the air, so we're gonna talk to him. We're gonna see what Josh thinks. Josh, what did you think overall of this one?
Uh, Pretty cool. Some throwbacks and yeah, cool episode.
Okay, so this one started out. I had assumed that they had left this Sid's video game arcade or whatever it is, but they're actually still there. Um, and then she gives them like this new side quest on this apparently show about a Star Wars MMORPG. They have they need to break into this facility and get some plans for a tactical droid. Did I get that right?
They need to get the droid's head.
The droid's head. Okay. Um, so they get assigned this quest and they go to this planet. And they break into this facility, which is kind of like it's kind of like a factory with like just like a bunch of like parts and droid parts and everything. I'm assuming it's like a droid assembly factory. Um,
So it's actually a disassembly factory.
a
It's on
disassembly
Corellia.
factory. Okay.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
as you can imagine, after the Clone Wars, there's whatever, like a billion droids out there whose services are no longer required. So this is one of the planets where they're kind of decommissioning the war effort. Uh, to compare, this was a big scene in. Have you played uh what is it called? Star Wars Fallen Order?
No, no.
Oh, okay. So the opening scene on in that game, or not the opening. I guess it is the opening scene. Is on this like basically trash planet where they're just like taking apart all the like the spaceships and the equipment from the Clone Wars.
Of the other side.
No, both because a lot of the when they transitioned to the Empire, they stopped using the Venator Star Destroyers and all uh the ARC 170s, like all those starships and spaceships, and they transitioned to TIE fighters and Star Destroyers. So as part of that, it's like melting them all down for scrap and stuff like that. So
Oh, okay.
um yeah. No, I recommend playing the game if only for like the music and the set pieces.
Okay. All right. Um, yeah, I like how they're trying to I don't know, fit in some actual logistics of things that are going on. I feel like in the movies we don't get a lot. Like they're just kind of rushing over stuff, so you don't really get to see some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I got the feeling that this was. I know it's not the same planet, but it's felt very akin to. I think it was episode or Attack of the Clones. I think is that the one where 3PO and R2D2 get stuck in like a assembly factory or something.
Yeah, good catch. So it's actually the reverse of that. So you remember Anakin and Padme, they're like fighting through the droid assembly factory. So this is kind of like the reverse of that. They're fighting through a disassembly factory.
Okay. And was that on Geonosis or was that somewhere else? I
Yeah,
forget
that was
now.
on Geonosis. That remember they flew to help Obi-Wan, and
Okay.
we all know how that turned
And
out.
then yeah, and then the like C3PO's head got put on the wrong body or something and then
Yeah.
okay.
He started shooting people.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was I thought it was the same planet for a second. I'm like, "Well, yeah." So, um but I mean, that's pretty cool. Um So anyway, they break into this place and they get interrupted because somebody else is already there trying to do the exact same thing that they're doing, right? And it's two familiar characters, familiar to people who watch Clone Wars. So can you tell us a little bit about them again, Josh?
Yeah, so this is Rafa and Trace. Ahsoka met them on Coruscant after she left the Jedi Order. And they're just two people trying to make their way in the universe.
I don't remember what happened to them at the end of their Clone Wars like storyline, uh, where they just kind of left to their own devices.
Yeah, they I mean a lot happened. But basically, yeah, they kind of went off to they what was it? They bought their own ship, or they, however, they basically they got off. They went left Coruscant, and they went off to do their own adventures while Ahsoka went back to basically warn them about Maul when the Jedi, or was it warn the Jedi Order about Maul, if I remember correctly.
Okay, but then
And
the
that's how she
Jedi
kind
Order
of
is probably gone, so they couldn't warn them.
no. So that's what happens immediately before the Battle of Mandalore.
Okay. Um, so maybe they got the message, but then the Jedi Order, maybe they got the message across, but then maybe the Jedi Order fell pretty soon after that, so couldn't really do anything.
About Mandalore.
No, 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 about Maul.
Oh, so I mean, Maul. They did capture Maul. He was captured. You remember? You saw this. You watched this,
Okay, all right. I did watch this. Shoot.
and then they're on the ship, and then Maul tears apart the reactor, which drops him out of hyperspace, aimed directly at a planet. Remember?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. Um. So they're basically so they at first okay so they're trying to do the same thing that our Bad Batch is trying to do, but then so they kind of team up, but then Rafa and Trace basically call them out for like because Hunter just said like, oh, we don't ask questions, we're just doing this as a job. Um, he doesn't care about like the moral implications or whatever, but Rafa and Trace are pointing out that they're actually doing this for a reason. They're trying to help the people that are fighting the Empire. It's kind of pointing that out to Hunter and the guys. Um, does this
Right.
is this like the the rumblings of the rebellion? Would you say like it has to be right? Who she's implying they're working with?
Yeah, she says they're using it to fight the Empire. Um, but it's interesting how Hunter's like, we're just doing a job, which is like a weird. It's like you know, the whole issue with like. So first of all, the Bad Batch has never been good about just following orders, or just doing things without asking questions. And that was kind of like when their chip gets activated, that's like what they turn into. They turn into mindless order following machines. So it was interesting that like in this new life, Hunter's like, oh, we're just doing the job. We're not thinking about where this is going or what the implications are.
So yeah, it's a good point. So it's like if you're doing that, you could have just had some droids do it, right? You know, or clone troopers that have their inhibitor chips still in. So he has the freedom to make a choice now, right?
Well, in a way, right? And I guess, yes, like, is he free to do whatever he wants? Like, well, yes and no, right? There's still an empire trying to kill him. And he could say the same thing about our lives, right? Like we technically can do whatever we want. The reality is like we have bills to play, and they're not bills to play, but bills to pay, and responsibilities and laws to follow, stuff like that. So, is Hunter, are the Bad Patch really free? No, right? And they've taken on Omega as well. So, it's maybe Hunter being a little uh lacking self-awareness for him to say we don't ask where this is going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are characters out there that do know, like, are aware of this stuff, but like they they purposely don't ask questions because they don't want to know the answer.
Right.
Yeah, but that's probably not what Hunter and the gang are like. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, I mean they care enough about stuff to like Hunter, at least he cares about stuff to like he let Kanan go, right? And he saved Omega when he didn't have to.
Okay. Just every time you say Omega,
I can't help it.
Omega.
Omega.
Um. So, but he does make a choice in the end, because it seemed like they had failed their mission, but Tech had actually managed to make a copy of the droid plans. So he chooses to give it to the sisters.
Right. And so this is a little bit of a little quirk about Star Wars is that it's really hard to make copies of things in Star Wars. Like, why couldn't they just both have had a copy of it? And it's the same thing with like the Death Star plans
Well,
and
okay, I mean that's unfair because like I mean Star Wars came out in like 1970 whatever, and like back then it was really hard to make copies of stuff. A lot easier than it is today.
I guess
Yeah,
you know, maybe. But I mean, look, sci-fi writers have been coming up with all kinds of crazy things that are way ahead of its time. And like obviously even back then, Star Wars, they're able to make video calls from far away. So why can't they transmit like schematics over Wi-Fi or whatever? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just a little
are you dissing Star Wars Rogue One?
right. Rogue One, the basic premise of Rogue One is that they can't just beam these plans through hyperspace. They need to physically deliver this copy of data that I don't know, like how big is it really? Like, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they wrote it in there that it was like because the shield was up or something, uh, they couldn't like transmit them to the ships in orbit or something. I think that was. But yeah,
Okay, so how come when they get it on the Corvette, right? So why does Leia have to deliver it personally? And why is it in R2? Why can't they just beam it to Alderaan, wherever they need to go?
because they're being chased and I don't know. Otherwise, they would have wrote it in there, Josh.
That's funny.
Well, you talk about that as a pet peeve in movies and stuff. I still see like modern TV shows and movies like the people are still like copying stuff to USB drives. Like like there's like this the
Ooh,
stereotypical scene where like somebody's trying to copy something to a USB drive. And it's like copying, and then like the bad guys in the next room, or somebody's in the next room. They don't suspect anything yet or something, and they're like, "Come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up!" It's like, yeah, people don't do that anymore.
so we're gonna come back to that later in this podcast.
Okay,
There's this show that I've been binging that you don't know I've been watching,
okay,
and we're gonna talk about USBs.
okay. All right, sounds good. Um, my question, I had two questions for you. Two big questions about this episode. Number one, is this droid plan actually something significant? What is this droid? Is this something the rebels use later on, or is it a MacGuffin thing?
It's so it's a little weird because like droid tactics are not uh droid tactics are not like to me very I don't know. So there is like this plot device of the separatist like strategic genius and he uses a couple times, whether it's droids like Kalani or that like spider character, right? Who and so like it's like this trope of the like genius enemy general whose tactics can defeat us, and so like we have to like either outsmart them or take care of them to have any hope of victory. So I don't not sure how that's gonna play into this. I think it was an interesting way to reintroduce Rafa and um, Trace. It also seems like this is gonna be a way for the Bad Batch to be introduced to a rebellion cell, which they kind of already have with Saw, but obviously Saw is like an extremist. I don't know if Bad Batch will really I don't know. I don't know if Bad Batch will really go along with his methods. So I think that was more what it came to me for me more than like we have this strategic plans that of the droids which are now disassembled that I'm sure stormtroopers will never use again. I don't think that's going to be I don't think it's going to be relevant in that way.
Okay, I kind of wrote it off as just like a MacGuffin thing, and I don't think we'll hear about it ever. But maybe. I mean, this show does a lot of stuff of like connecting things and tying loose ends, so never count it out, I guess.
Yeah. Who knows?
Um, so I guess the big question about this episode is at the very end, the last scene, the sisters are flying off and they tell a figure on a holo projector who we as the audience cannot see saying that they found some guys and they found the Bad Batch or whatever and think that they could help. So who do you think that they're talking to? Who is this figure on the holo projector?
All right, so couple of options. My first thought, which is surely wrong, it was Obi-Wan, just from the
That was my
style of his,
first impression as well. Yeah.
yeah, just the style of the outfit, the way that he turned. We know it's a male too. Um,
Wait. Why do we know it's a male?
Rafa says him,
Oh, okay.
connect us to him. Yeah. So more likely it could be Bail Organa, who is at this time starting to try to get the rebellion together. I don't think it's Saw. I think he, Saw is still like kind of, I don't know. Saw does not seem to have organized him and his team quite yet.
So, oh man, I should have took a second look at it before we came on here, but you didn't. You saw like his shoulder or like his waist or something. You
He
didn't
had
get
like
a
a
lot.
sash. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like at his waist or something. So you didn't get a lot. Not even like his silhouette or anything.
right. Kind of the like out there theory is that it's Darth Maul, which is small right now, I guess. That'd be weird, right? Kind of weird.
It's heavily implied it's like a rebellion involved figure.
Right.
So Bail Organa is a really good guess, like you said. I kind of want to hop on that train. Do we have other options? We said Obi-Wan. Uh, I mean, I guess a really far out there would be like what is that guy's name? The old dude, like Jan or Yan
Jan
Dodonna.
Dodonna. Yeah,
Dodonna, yeah.
could be.
Um, the more prominent members of Rebellion are female though, like Mon
Like Mon
Mothma.
Mothma, yeah.
Yeah,
Someone said Cassian Andor, which I don't think the timeline matches up because he would be too young, I believe, at this time.
because this is right after Ep 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He might be too young. It, does this? It's probably somebody we know too. Otherwise, there wouldn't be all this hoopla. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
yeah. So I think right now, I think the leading. I'm gonna put like 70% on, or maybe 50%. 50% on Bail Organa, 30% on Obi, and 20% on other. I don't know.
On the field.
On the field, yeah. Unless we're forgetting
Okay.
somebody here. Yeah, I don't know. Darth Maul sounds really out there. Did you see that on like Reddit or something?
Yeah, I think either Reddit or uh I think I just Googled, saw some, you know how people write articles on like these clickbaity websites.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like to go on those and see what is what is the popular opinion.
All right. Well, I mean that was pretty much the episode. We didn't get a whole lot into like they didn't dig any more into like Omega's like Omega stuff or uh the Bad Batch themselves. So that was
Seems
pretty
like
much it.
she's gonna need to do some push-ups, right? Oh, we did not mention something important, which is that Wrecker is starting to lose it.
Mentally,
Yeah, it seems like his chip is activating.
yeah. Was that in
Not
like the
good.
beginning? I might have missed that. Is that in the beginning?
When he has to the jump over the molten pit to push the lever, he hits his head and he starts saying, "Good soldiers follow orders."
Oh yeah. Okay, I did, yeah, yeah. He did
So
say that. I was like, holy shit, that was a cross crosshairs,
yeah,
crosshairs
crosshair.
line. Yeah.
So not looking good for
Oh man, I didn't think about like the possibility of the rest of them having their programming like making a comeback or switching back on or something that introduces like a new type of conflict, which I mean, which I guess is good for the story, but it's like, oh, I hope it doesn't. I hope none of the rest of them flip.
I have bad news. Well, this may be the impetus for them to figure out a solution to the chip, whether it's removing it or disabling somehow. I believe Tech is working on something. He has like a little gadget that can scan for it or something about it.
That would be really heartbreaking if, like, by the end of like, they all eventually flip except for one of them, probably Hunter, I guess, and then he just has to, like, the rest of them are trying to take him down, take him and Omega down.
Right.
Um,
So let's put Wrecker versus the rest of the Bad Batch. Who wins?
Crosshair included or no?
No, no Crosshair.
I think I think you could. Well, it depends on how close they are. Like, I feel like if
Inside the
they're
ship.
inside the ship, oh
Yeah.
well, yeah, he's got a pretty good advantage then. And it depends on how much prep. Like, because if Tech had enough prep, he could easily come up with something.
Tech is Batman.
Yeah, Tech is Batman. Tech is Star Wars Batman.
Yeah, he has some really crazy feats, like tossing tanks off of cliffs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So it depends on how much time he had to prep. If it was like immediate, like he didn't see it coming, then uh, probably bad news for them. Yeah, probably because it's like your big damage dealer tank dude in with all of the, like, the agility and heroes, like.
Yeah, Hunter is I don't know, sometimes like when they were getting trapped by all the police droids, I was kind of like, but you guys have fought like larger groups of more dangerous battle droids with no hesitation or so that was a little like I guess maybe an inconsistency.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for who this reveal is gonna be, who this figure is. Hopefully they tell us next week and they don't drag it on for like a million years. Um,
right.
anything else about this episode you wanted to go over?
No, I think we're good. We've got a long way to go in this season. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, how many more episodes do we have?
Oh, dude, so many. Let's see.
It's a lot, yeah. We just finished 6, and I think it's like in the teens.
16.
Yeah, 16.
So
So
we're not even halfway there.
yeah, 10 more. And we also got Loki coming out next week. So
Is it next week already?
yeah, it's next week. It's Wednesday.
Oh my God.
It's yeah. I mean, before
It's
you
gonna be
know it,
so good.
yeah. It's oh, and that's only gonna be 6 weeks, 6 episodes. So it'll finish before Bad Batch is even done. And then Black Widow
That's
is
fun.
coming out like before Loki even finishes. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think Loki is going to be the first Marvel show to release on Wednesdays because Bad Batch is releasing on Fridays.
Is that the reason?
That is exactly the reason I was. Well, I read this article note, but it was from an interview with either Feige or somebody high up at Marvel. So yeah,
I don't. I think they maybe overthink some of this stuff. That's my opinion.
yeah, I don't know. I think they want. I think a lot of the stuff is like social media dominated, like metrics wise. So like, if you give the Twitter sphere, uh, if it's like two different things going on at the same time, it might not bode as well for the metrics. Whereas if you give them a 48-hour head start for one show, they'll probably do better. But that's just me speculating. Um,
Yeah, I guess.
it's
I don't
it
know.
doesn't really affect us that much, does it? Are you that upset about it?
No, I just think like they keep changing release dates and doing like weird things. And it's
Oh.
like I'm gonna watch it. Like like what what are they trying to really avoid here, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to affect our scheduling for this, talking about it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, so like they, like you what was the last instance of this? I guess like since Black Widow got pushed back because of the no like theaters are not available situation. So they started pushing everything back, and it's like I don't know. I feel like they're I don't think people are like, oh, I just saw one movie last week. I can't go see another movie next week. I'm not saying release it the same weekend, but like, come on.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I see what you're saying, but I think actually in hindsight is the better decision because it seems like people are going back to the movies more this month. Uh, it seems I don't know for some reason this month seems to be. Uh, I've had like friends say to me like, "Hey, you want to hang out and do stuff for this month?" So it's like I
Yeah,
guess things
I
might be
mean,
going back to normal now. So like by the time Black Widow releases, this might be back to like as normal as it can get for moviegoers.
so what's the breakdown though for theater revenue versus streaming revenue pre-pandemic?
I don't know.
So I'm pretty sure, and now they have their own streaming service, so that they don't have to they don't owe anybody anything, right? Everybody who's subbing for Disney Plus, I don't know, dude. I just think just release it, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
But well, I mean, they're Disney is different because they're charging for their big releases on their streaming service.
That's also true. So it's like they have these ticket sales,
Yeah, so like
regardless.
from the consumer standpoint, like obviously I'm not going to pay $30 when I can go see it in the on the big screen for $10. Um, if I
Maybe.
had like a giant family and a bunch of friends, but I don't have neither. I have neither of those, so
I mean, there's hidden costs, like you have to transport yourself there, you know. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Sometimes you have to pay for parking, or yeah,
Right.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, at this point, it's like I do think they don't have to like wait so long between releases. I'm talking about for their big stuff, like the Marvel stuff. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to do Black Widow in July and then the next one is Shang Chi in September. Like you could just do them like
Well,
3 weeks
isn't
away from
Shang-Chi
each
a
other.
show?
No, it's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. So even then, like, they're still squishing because like Eternals is gonna be in November, right?
Yeah, but you could release them all 3 weeks from each other. Everybody will still go see them.
That's what I'm saying, is like you
Yeah,
didn't
no,
need to push
agreed.
back Shang-Chi or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. The only thing I can think of is maybe some of the stuff like maybe they had it planned out so elaborately that it they coincided with certain releases on Disney Plus for like the Hawkeye show and the Loki and I forgot what else is coming out this year, but all the shows. But
Yeah.
I can't see that being like a that big of a deal. But I don't know.
Well,
It
we'll find out the hard way when we watch all this stuff, regardless of when it comes out.
yeah, and then I think this year is gonna be the year of 4 big Marvel movies, and then next year, which was like already a record, but then next year it's gonna be 5 big Marvel movies. So it's yeah, they got a lot of content. They don't. It's not like they're starved for content and they're trying to spread them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to? Did you want to talk about a specific show that you were watching?
Yeah, yeah. So okay. Well, let me start with the bad first. I think as you may gather, I'm generally a positive person, right? When it comes to movies and TV shows, I like to like I can I feel like I do a good job of knowing ahead of time if I'm gonna
Yeah,
like something or not,
unless
and
you've
if
been burned, but
uh,
but go ahead.
so uh so it's not often that I watch something and I'm like, this was horrible. And even if I do like kind of get caught off guard a little bit, I'll just turn it off. Like life is too short to just be like sitting around watching something to feel like I have to watch it or else like I'm not completing my task for the day or whatever. So having said that, uh Sunday night, this past Sunday night, so almost a week ago, I finally had the misfortune to watch X-Men Dark Phoenix. So now,
Oh, okay. Oh man. Oh, now I'm excited. I'm
it's so
excited.
so again, like I try to stay positive. Like I've defended DC a lot, which is like, not as like a lot of people like to hate on the DC the DC films and whatever, because like for whatever reason. And other types of things. Well, I forgot what the yeah, like New Mutants. Like I just saw New Mutants, thought it was great. Didn't, not a lot of people saw it or whatever. So then we have this. And so like what am I really expecting here? So that like, you know, Jean Grey dying is kind of a meme, right? Like she's always dying in the show or in the comics. And like she's constantly getting cloned. Like if you try to break it, I saw like an infographic of like the Summers family tree, and it's like totally convoluted and twisted and whatever. So like that's all fine. Like that's part of the deal. It's part of X-Men at this point. It's complicated. There's time travel. There's cloning. Like it's just how it is. So no, I was kind of maybe what they've kind of already done the time thing with Days of Future Past, which I thought was like really well handled. Uh, in X3, which and remember, this is technically all the same continuity because of Days of Future Past, right? So
Uh,
like,
yeah, yeah, sorta, yeah, yeah.
what do you mean, sort of? It is.
Okay, fine,
It's
fine. It is okay.
so so they've already done one Phoenix story, which you know
Yeah, from X3. Yeah.
at the time it was kind of like, all right, like you know, I you know, I think some of the acting in that was a little cringe, but overall the story, like and the plot, was somewhat consistent. Like it made sense. Like she was the Phoenix and all this stuff happened. So there was some good, there was some bad. This one seemed to keep all of the bad concepts and with none of the good. Uh, so probably one of the worst things that happened in X3 was what happened to Cyclops. Do you remember what happened to Cyclops in X3?
Yeah, he just got killed like in the beginning, like the first 2 minutes of the movie or something. By Jean.
And for like no apparent reason.
Yeah, other
Like
than like, yeah, yeah,
I think she like kissed him and then like exploded his head or something. That's how I remember that. And it's
yeah.
like to this day, I'm just like, why? Why? Like, why? So similarly, our poor friend Jennifer Lawrence playing Mystique as best as she can, has constantly gotten the short end of stick in many ways. Why did she have to die? Like, what what purpose did that serve the story? Like, I understand, like I don't know, like
Um, so the
because at the end of it, right? They're like defending her, right? They're like defending, they're like protecting her from the aliens or whatever. And it's like, hold on a second, she still killed Mystique. Like it was, you know what I mean? That was a little quick. The forgiveness was a little quick.
yeah, in story, I can't think of a good reason. I mean, out of story, I, I think there's plenty of reasons that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
in story, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I never actually thought about that. I was always just thinking like, Jennifer Lawrence is on her way out, and this is probably the last X-Men movie anyway, so might as well just kill off a bunch of
Right.
characters.
So though, like you bring up a good point about out of story reasons, out of universe reasons. But I want to go back to uh Days of Future Past, which had like so much going on as far as things that are happening outside of the film proper, but it still like worked. It still made sense, like they gave him a good send off and they kept who they wanted to keep. And it like merged. I guess I wanted to say it worked because they had a plan ahead of time. They didn't make first class just thinking like, oh, we're just gonna reboot it. They had a plan for those characters in a way to like to make bring it all together. This felt like this felt like uh they had a contract for the movie and they had to come up with something. So like this is what they came up with, and like it was just so forced. It was
Well,
like,
I mean that's a good point because like remember the post credit scene for Days of Future Past was the the setup for Apocalypse, right? Because he was putting the pyramids together in ancient Egypt.
uh
So
I shoot, I don't remember the post credit scene.
okay,
The most only post credit scene I remember from that era was uh Xavier and Magneto going to Logan in the bar.
okay, that wasn't a post credit scene, was it? Oh,
Oh, you're right. That was in the middle of the
that was
movie.
in the middle of the movie. Yeah, okay. So anyway, but I mean, this what I'm trying to bring up is like this proves the point that it seemed like they had more of a plan from First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse. Like that seemed like a set trilogy. The end, because Days of Future Past uh, post credit scene sets up Apocalypse. Apocalypse's
Yeah.
post credit scene was a reference to Mister Sinister and
Yep.
Wolverine, or yeah, or at least Mister Sinister's set up for that. So like, but we never got that. We only got the only thing we got was like a reference to him in New Mutants, and New Mutants was
Yeah.
definitely not like part of the main X Men continuity. So,
Well, we can argue about that, but
well, I mean, okay, sorry, I said that wrong. Like, not part of like the main
it didn't progress the
storyline.
storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it
main
didn't
storyline. Yeah.
because okay, so you just put that in a really good way that kind of even explained to me why I didn't like it. So they were doing something really specific with X-Men, which was they were having a movie for each decade. So I think it was like
Yeah, the
uh
60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah.
67, 80s. So Dark Phoenix, what it was supposed to be was 90s, X-Men in the 90s. Now, X-Men in the 90s, it's super iconic because so many of us grew up with that awesome 90s cartoon with the X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
which had like a lot of updated designs, a lot of characters that were new at the time. So like, Jubilee, Yellow Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, and like that form of Rogue. Obviously, like the many different ways they've done Rogue, and like there was absolute all they had to do was just make a live action 90s X-Men movie. And instead it kind of just felt like they were stuck in the 80s and like in this that modality of like it's the 80s and we're awkward, like stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and there was also, uh, gosh, I can't remember all the individual directors, but I know for Dark Phoenix, the director was Simon Kinberg, and he hadn't actually directed like a big movie before. He was always like a writer on a bunch of different movies. I think he was on like Transformers and uh, some of the previous X Men movies. So, I mean, some of that might have played into it too. I guess inexperience or whatever. But uh, I mean, there are tons of examples of directors with very little experience that turn out great big budget movies their first time out. So that's not really an excuse. I'm just pointing that out.
I can see the director, like the quality of the director explaining like how certain scenes play out, but like you said before, there was like there it seemed like there was a plan going back uh
Yeah, to
way back
return
when
somewhere. Yeah.
they and like you said, they could have fleshed out the Mr. Sinister storyline. They could have done what's that thing where there's like this, I think it's like the North or the South Pole in Marvel is like a lost planet or with like dinosaurs and stuff. They could have done that. That would have been cool. Um, there's like just has so many different things, and like they kind of did like Magneto's Island. That's like kind of a thing that happens in X-Men, but it was kind of just like there. It didn't really have a place in the story. It was just like where Magneto is, that is not like in a city surrounded by metal, so that people are not constantly afraid of him, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So like there was just a
uh,
lot of like I don't care about this, you know?
yeah. And yeah, like you said, there's like a lot of choices for storylines they could have done, but instead they just rehashed um, X3, and then also like as you mentioned, they're supposed to be in the same continuity, but like the Phoenix Force in both iterations of it is like completely different, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
and it's also inconsistent with, I think Apocalypse, because in Apocalypse, remember she was
she already
having
had
those.
it.
Yeah, she already had it, and Professor X was helping her with her nightmares and stuff. But then, so I don't know, but and then so in the beginning of Phoenix, yeah, she gets it, I guess, from space, but like, yeah, it's like, well, hold on, I don't know. So
Doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it didn't make any
Sorry.
sense. And then also the awkwardness with the bad guys, because you correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't the bad guys in this storyline supposed to be scrolls? But because Marvel Studios has the rights to actual scrolls, they had to change the backstory for them. That's why you get Jessica
Uh
Chastain and these very bland, generic alien bad guys.
I I not aware of the scrolls. I don't know. I don't think the Phoenix Force destroyed the Scrolls' home planet in any storyline I know. The Scrolls are typically always at war with the Kree. Oh, but I'm
Uh,
just
I,
Googling an article that says that yes, they were originally Scrolls,
okay,
which
yep,
is
yep, yep.
uh
It's probably the same one that I read when it came out. Yep.
I don't know about that. Like what? The Scrolls. So again,
You're just so
I don't know.
exasperated. You're
Like
just like,
like I did like that they were like new aliens. Like it was not if they were scrolls, I kind of would have rolled my eyes a little bit. Um, but so I was kind of glad there were kind of like different aliens, although we didn't really learn much of anything about them. They kind of felt more like zombies when they were attacking the train,
I mean,
kind of that kind of
they just fall into the trope of like bad guys for the sake of being bad, and we don't really get to explore their motivations or anything like that. Which makes it seem, oddly enough, like kind of like an '80s comic book villain. Um,
well, well, we they kind of said they were like, oh, um, we basically they were going to use the Phoenix Force to recreate their world. That was their motivation. Um, which is like uh could just ask nicely, right? Because
you'd be like, "Hey, we'll help you get this under control, and you can. Could you do this for us?" He's like, "Sure, no problem. Okay, cool,
right.
cool, bro."
So that was it felt like it escalated for no good reason. Then what was I gonna say about them? Yeah, so like they're trying to remake their world. Uh yeah, I don't know. It feels it, I don't know. I, I think like we've already said, would have loved to see Mr. Sinister. We'll love to see go full 90s, play the original theme song to that cartoon, which is iconic. Everyone has that as their ringtone. Um, put Wolverine in the yellow suit. I guess he's out, right? He's totally out.
Yeah, I think this is the first main X Men movie that he wasn't in too. That's probably
Okay.
another factor of it. You know,
What about Laura? Well, I guess well, she's a child in the future, so I guess that's impossible in this timeline at least.
yeah, she's
Um,
not born yet, for sure.
would have loved to see some I guess Cable's in Deadpool, but they could have brought in Bishop, could have done something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
Another thing that the last, to be honest, the last X-Men comic I read was they did like they made a new comic book series in the style of the 90s comics. So with like the exaggerated art and there's like lines everywhere and stuff. And the story was like like had to do with Scott Summers and his dad, who was Starjammer. And and so like they're dealing with like their family history and so basically it gets them away into like the space the space storyline of Marvel with like the Kree and all that stuff, but like connected to the X-Men. So like
oh,
if you're gonna have Dark Phoenix, but I don't know if they're like that seems like given just like the Cyclops seems like really grounded and stuff, and I think his brother's dead, right? They killed off Havoc.
oh God, that's another thing. I was really mad about that when I saw Phoenix, because like they kind of left it open ended in Apocalypse, and I thought they were like gonna resurrect him or something happened to him and they would bring him back or something. Uh, but they just it wasn't even. Maybe it was the fandom reading into it too much, but I thought he was on the table. But yeah, it's assumed he's dead since Apocalypse.
Okay. All right. So, eh, oh well.
And there's like I think like some of the out of universe things was like, because I got the sense of Jennifer Lawrence kind of like reminded me of like Harrison Ford in Star Wars. Like she seemed kind of
Mm,
over it, you know.
yeah.
And like her character too, they couldn't really come up with anything compelling after Days of Future Past. Um, and then this one, like in Phoenix, it's just like her and Hank have that little moment. It's like, we're just like the last ones. We're the oldies. We're like 50 years old now, even though we still look like we're 25, you know. So, um, yeah. So
Yeah, because they've been around since what
since the
is
60s.
first class starts in the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
well,
I mean, they did explain it in first class in that because he did tests on her DNA or whatever, and he said like, "Oh, it's amazing. You age at half the rate as normal humans do." Um, so
sure.
that's always explained, but I mean, he still looks the same, so I don't know if it affects him the same way. Um, and then of course, like Professor X and Magneto, damn, they look pretty good for however old, being the age that they're supposed to be. Like they're supposed to be World War II survivors, right? So
Yes, Magneto.
Magneto was like 9 years old during the Holocaust or something. So like
So, well, that would still only make him 40 something because it's set in the 90s,
it's in the 90s. No, that means he's born in like 1930 something. So he should be like 60.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's like a in-universe joke about how Patrick Stewart has never aged.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true.
But yeah. Why don't the characters age? I mean,
And
I don't really care about that. But did you like how they wrote out Quicksilver?
Quicksilver. Hold on. Let me think. How did they? Oh, I
So
don't remember. I don't remember what happened.
when they go to fight Jean at her house, she like makes him trip or whatever, and uh he gets badly hurt like running into the ground or whatever. So
Oh.
he's like totally disappeared for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, and then like I remember reading a lot of stuff up before the movie came out, and it's like, and I feel like it's really hard for writers to write speedsters because like they just
Yeah,
break everything. It's like, oh, just have Quicksilver. Oh, just have Quicksilver do this. Just have Quicksilver do that. Kind of like
right,
in
right.
the, I think it was the first one where he helped them get out of that jam out of the prison in DC,
Yeah,
and then he
yeah,
was just kind of like, oh well, glad I helped you guys. I'm off. I'm going back home now. You know, and then he's like gone
yeah,
for the
yeah.
rest of the movie. Yeah. So
Because he could have solved like the rest of the movie on his own.
yeah, so you got to do something to like take him out of action.
I mean, yes, or just like write better, I guess, if that's an option.
Make him sleepy. Make him a narcoleptic. He's like
Make him-
speeding and then he just falls asleep. Dude, they should have
What do
done
you,
that. That would have been awesome.
what are you even saying? Make him sleepy?
A narcoleptic.
Oh, you're saying like change the character totally.
Yeah, okay, fine, but you got to do something. I don't know.
I guess.
That would have been funny
Uh,
though. He's like speeding around trying to help him, and then he just like falls asleep.
just falls asleep. He'd probably die.
Nah, the speedsters always have like incredible durability, right?
Well, they should also heal fast. He should have healed up before the movie is over.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know. The whole X Men, Fox X Men universe just like imploded with a big whimper. Like, because I mean, there was all this stuff they were supposed to do, like the Gambit movie. That was like
Oh yeah,
hyped so much for years, and it like nothing ever came of it. Like Channing Tatum was like on his IMDb page, he was up there for like 5 years or something, and it just
he
puttered
was
out.
gonna play Gambit.
He was gonna play
That's
Gambit, yeah. I don't know if that's
yeah,
a choice, but I would have seen it, you know. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that.
it
Uh,
yeah. I mean, the only thing at least we have the consolation in that they will eventually be reintegrated back into the MCU. So uh, Kevin Feige, don't let us down.
yeah, he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, that'll probably be like the hardest thing for him in the next uh, like 10 years or something is integrating those guys and like the Fantastic Four.
I will say like the newer X-Men storylines are totally bonkers and like really wild. Like
In
I,
the
I
comics.
yeah, like I don't even know where to begin. Like the I guess the main plot device right now is that the X-Men have a way to resurrect anybody, no matter like where they are. So like there's just a lot of people dying in the comics right now because it doesn't matter. They just get resurrected like so soonly after.
So like the like the website I use to get all my movie and TV news, like they kind of sometimes cover comics, and like
Yeah.
every comic headline, every article headline I read for the X Men comics is just insane. So I
Yeah.
totally believe you when you say like the storylines are nuts.
It's and the reason I say that is, a lot of times we can just say, oh, just adapt a comic storyline, but the newer material is just like so out there. I don't know if it would work.
Um, I mean, there's lots of old material they haven't done yet either, though, right?
Yeah, of course. Yes and no. Like, I think a lot of it is kind of rehashing of the same things. Like my favorite storyline from the X-Men comics is called I think it's God Saves Man Kills or something like that. Uh, but they kind of already did that with X2, I think. It was kind of an adaptation of that. Like it's so with Stryker and his kids, if I remember that correctly.
Oh, okay.
Uh, So there's not a great reason why they couldn't just do it again. Um, they could also go like a totally different direction and do like Ultimate X-Men, which has like the characters are like rather different in my opinion. I don't know. There's options out there. There's also some like really bad decisions, some pitfalls they could fall into.
Um, I think actually what is going on right now is probably the best for the property as a whole in the movies. Like it. Now I don't know if this is like a cause and effect thing, like a self fulfilling prophecy, where it was like, oh well, this is like a lame duck franchise right now, so we're just not even going to put a lot of effort in these last couple movies, and then they ended up being terrible. But Whereas if they had had like more of a future, maybe they would have put more effort. I don't know, but like I think having them just end like that and get reintegrated is probably uh for the fans probably the best thing, the best way we're gonna get the best stories out of the property.
Yeah. I I didn't think Apocalypse was bad. Like it had a lot of cool set pieces, you know?
No, no, it wasn't. I thought Days of Future Past was like the peak, and Apocalypse
Yeah.
was like good but not great, and then Dark Phoenix was just
Well, what about is it called Logan, his last movie?
oh that I mean that's the best movie. I think that's the best movie in the entire franchise. I think that's one of the best comic book movies ever actually.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I really like First Class. I like First Class better than what was the one that came after it?
Days of Future Past.
Okay, so the one after, did they go from Days of Future Past to Apocalypse? No, right?
No, yeah. No, that was it. It's a trilogy. First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. I mean, the Wolverine movies were like interspersed throughout there, but like that was the main storyline.
Oh,
Was
I see, I see. I see. Interesting, interesting. Um, I guess X-Men The Last Stand is the official title. It's not X3. Of course, everyone I know calls it that.
what did you think of that one? I A lot of people hated it, but I actually thought it was pretty good.
X3, I mean, uh, remind myself of the plot. Let me look at this real quick. Well,
They find the cure, the quote unquote cure for the mutant X gene. So a lot of them decide to take it. A lot of them don't. Um, Jean Grey's powers resurrect her, and she's going all nuts with the Phoenix Force. They have to make a
the
last stand on Mutant Island or whatever it's called.
yeah, I think the the Jean Grey plotline, of course, is a little cringe. Like she just kind of somehow she is Rector. I mean, yes, we know she's it's the Phoenix Force, but eh. Uh, also she kills Xavier. It's just like okay, you killed Scott and you killed Xavier. Like you can't just off these. You can't just off these like really important characters. Wait, so wait, remind me if how does this work? If Xavier died in Last Stand, how is he alive in Days and Future Past?
His So in Last Stand, they introduced his twin brother. Um, there was an actress that was like a doctor working at this hospital that was funded by him, and the twin brother was like an invalid. Had been a vegetable all his life. Sorry if that's not the right term, but he was just on machines his whole life. Um, but they had like a psychic connection or something. So they don't really explain it, but it's implied that Professor X transferred his consciousness into that body either right before he died or after he died or right as he died. It doesn't really explain why uh, he looks like he does because the guy in the hospital clearly does not look like him, but they said it's his twin brother. So,
I don't remember that at all. Like you
yeah,
have just dropped entirely new information on me.
I didn't remember it when I saw it in the theaters, and I remember having to. I discussed it with some friends or something at work, and they told me that. And then when I went back and I watched it, I was like, oh, okay. I can see that, but it's like they're requiring you to make a lot of. They're requiring the viewer to make a lot of leaps and jumps. But the post-credit scene was the doctor came in to check on the guy, and um, he like said her name, and then of course this guy has never talked in his whole life, and then so she kind of turns around and she goes like Charles, and then that was the end of it.
Ugh,
So like when I was watching it in the theater, I'm like, how is that Charles? I don't get it. And then, but yeah, that's what it was supposed to be, I believe.
but that is like typical X-Men. It's just like these totally random, like convoluted, like yeah.
And I
So
mean, if they were gonna do that too, like, wouldn't you just use Patrick Stewart as the same body? but it was like this totally different actor, and he looked nothing like him. You know, granted, he was really skinny and malnourished, but I don't know.
So my counter to that is, for all we know, uh, Xavier just uses his powers to alter his appearance for the rest of his life.
That could be it. Yeah,
That's that's maybe my headcanon.
it's probably one of the most glossed over things in the continuity
Yeah. Yeah, that's, you know,
because they definitely didn't reference it anytime after X3.
didn't a lot of people die in X3? Let's see. Kitty Pryde. I guess Kitty was in
No,
Days
I
of
think
Future
everybody
Past.
else survived. Just Jean Grey, Professor X, and Scott. I mean, those are pretty big characters, though.
Scott's not in Days of Future Past, I don't think. If if Scott was in Days of Future Past, it would have gone a lot easier for them. Maybe.
Um, Scott is the younger generation like Sophie Turner and them in
Yeah.
Days of Future Past.
Uh
I don't remember them in there.
in Days of Future Past, let me think.
Scott and Jean Grey, the younger version. I don't know. I don't think so. No.
Um Beast is in it. Evan Peters is in it.
Yeah. I mean, they're the older of that generation. I'm talking like the younger ones.
Uh
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not. I think they all came in Apocalypse. Like the Kitty Pryde, Jean Grey, Scott. Uh, yeah, they all came in Apocalypse.
yeah, it's really like Xavier and Magneto running around.
Yeah, it was about Xavier Magneto handing the baton over to the the, the whatever Mystique and Beast and
Yeah.
the younger crowd. Yeah, and the younger Xavier and Magneto.
You know, they kind of do Xavier really dirty here. Like, um, what is it? First class, he's like super naive, right? And whatever, Days of Future Past, he's a raging alcoholic or whatever, drug addict. And then in Dark Phoenix, wait, Apocalypse, I forget what he failed to do in Apocalypse. And then Dark Phoenix, he like failed to tell Jean the truth about her life. Feels like he's constantly the villain.
I didn't feel like that except for Dark Phoenix. I feel like I don't feel like he made any mistakes until Dark Phoenix.
Um,
Like I kind of agreed with most of what he did.
sure, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, that's another thing about Dark Phoenix is a lot of it could have been solved if they just had a deep conversation. But yeah, characters having deep conversations to resolve conflict is not a thing in big budget movies.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely everything is drama jack to the max. Anyway,
Um,
so that's kind of my my Dark Phoenix spiel.
I'm glad that was a pleasant surprise, dude. I didn't.
So I'm not done though. I'm not
Okay,
done.
you're not done.
Unless you want
Okay,
to.
let's go. Let's hear more.
So here's the show that I've been binging this week. I didn't expect uh it has exceeded my expectations. So I have always uh not always, but it's very often been recommended to me to watch Mr. Robot. And I was like, oh, Mr. Robot. I think I was a little down on it because it's like a USA original or whatever. And like I've had bad experiences with direct to cable, you know, these kinds of things. But have you seen Mr. Robot?
I have not. Um,
Let me tell you, dude. It's
Okay,
a trip.
it's a trip.
It's wild. Like uh it's so good. It's so good. So there's like a heavy twist season one. Um there's like it's like really relevant to the current day and time. It has a lot to do with what I do at work, so it's like personally relevant for me. Uh it's awesome, dude. Great acting,
Did
great story.
did Steve convince you to watch it? Because I know he was a big fan of it.
No, I haven't talked to Steve about it, but it's kind of amazing.
Oh, okay. Did you finish the whole thing?
No, I'm in season two right now. It's got these really long episodes.
Yeah, it's like 4 seasons, I think, or
Oh, is it really four seasons? I'm in for a
uh
treat, dude. So good.
maybe it's something like that, 4 or 5. Is it even done? It might still be going. No, it's done.
I
It's
think
done. No, it's
is
done.
it really done?
No, it's
Ah,
done. Yeah, 4 seasons done in 2019.
officially canceled. Yikes.
Cancelled. Ugh.
So it was only is this only a recent uh it's only a recent development that it's officially canceled.
Yeah, I agree with your like. I kind of have a little bit of a prejudice against USA originals, or like because like USA is like the all the rejected NBC stuff. So so it's like, okay, if it's not good enough for NBC, then because USA is like their secondary network or whatever.
Yeah, so let's kind of list the things that are currently uh on the air for them, right? So we've got Queen of the South. Have you ever heard of this show?
Uh, I have heard of this show, and my dad really likes it, and I've heard it's good.
All right, next up we got Chicago PD.
I thought that was an NBC original, and they just played reruns of Chicago PD.
Oh, okay, let me look at a different list. Chris Lee knows best,
Oh Jesus. Okay.
not to be outdone by growing up Chris Lee.
Oh God. Okay.
Ms. and Mrs.
uh, I would say oh God, okay, but that show is actually mildly entertaining.
Oh, really? Ms. and Mrs.
Well, I'm a wrestling fan, so it's like kind of
Oh, is that what it's about? Okay,
yeah.
all
He's
right.
a wrestler, or they're both wrestlers. So yeah.
Next up, She's the Boss. Here's another one you'll like.
Wait,
Straight
the
up Steve
reboot?
Austin.
Oh yeah. Queen of the South.
Temptation Island.
Okay.
Is this a reality show? It looks like. The Biggest Loser.
Okay.
Is that Neil Patrick Harris? Interesting.
I think it was. I don't think it is anymore.
It looks like him. Speaking of Neil Patrick Harris, my wife and I, Neil Patrick Harris kind of like produced slash created this it's like board game, or it's like a puzzle box. It was a lot of fun. So just thought I'd mention that. And finally we have the Rev.
Rev Runs reality show.
No, it's I guess it's like the Rev as in the Reverend,
Yeah,
seems.
Rev Run, like the
Oh, is that
rapper,
him?
the rapper, right?
Um, what is it about? I don't know.
It's just the rappers. It's just his
No,
reality
no,
show.
it's about the show. Follow Pastor Richard Hartley, his church choir, and his loving family. I do not believe there are any rappers in this,
Oh, okay. It's not a
unless
reality
that's
show. Okay, I thought
no,
it
it's
was
not.
something else.
So, then you've got like NCIS, which I guess people like. So, yeah, like Mr. Robot does not fit anywhere in there. Totally out of left field, but it's kind of amazing.
It's. I mean, they used to have more like regular, like what was that one? Like Covert Affairs. That's what it was.
Mm.
Um, this seems like a remnant of what it used to be, like from the mid 2000s. But yeah, they don't have a lot of
Oh, the Rev is sorry, the Rev is a reality show. It's like actually a reverend, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I got the person wrong, but it is a reality show.
Dirty John, Sinner. What else we
Sinner's
got
like
going
on the
here?
same kind of thing though.
There's a upcoming Chucky TV series.
Come on.
Sure.
Okay, you want to talk about milking a franchise? Dude, that stuff was scary like the year I was born. Now it's just and like I know they're trying to be a little more aware and they put like humor into it too, but it's just crap.
So here's some series, some USA series. You ready for a trip down memory zone? Monk,
Oh boy.
uh, Psych. Remember Psych?
Yeah, yeah, it's stuff like that. Yeah.
Burn Notice. I loved Burn Notice. I think Burn
Yeah.
Notice is amazing.
That's all from like the same time, yeah.
Royal Pains, White Collar,
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
Covert Affairs you just mentioned.
Yep.
Suits.
Suits. Yeah,
Yeah,
Suits.
Suits ran for 8 years. Look at that.
Uh isn't that Meghan
Uh,
Markle with Suits? Yeah.
yes, she is in it. What else we got here? Psych, the movie, obviously. The
So,
Purge TV show.
ironically, USA Network indirectly gave us more drama, better drama with Meghan Markle than
Yikes.
any of their other reality shows.
Wow, dude. That's really intense. Anyway, so Mr. Robot, go watch it. It's great.
Okay. I've been thinking about watching Ms. and Mrs. Um, I don't know. I saw one episode once and uh, so like Miz has like his dad, and their parents both play like a integral part of the show. Like her mom lives with them, and then his dad like lives close by, and his dad is like a toilet repair guy or something. And then Miz like won this big championship or something. So then his dad came over and like put Miz's face like on all these different toilets, and he like put the toilets in the driveway, and he wanted Miz to like choose which toilet he wanted. and then
Interesting.
but he wasn't home, so like his wife is like, "What are you doing with all these toilets in my driveway with my husband's face on them?" And it was just hilarious. He's like, "Well, I thought you guys would want to choose one." He's like, "I don't want any of them. Get them out." Just,
Interesting, interesting.
reality show shenanigans.
Yeah. Um, I just remembered something. Another trope that maybe you can add to your uh, good kid counter or alongside it is when someone's like, I'm gonna leave this dangerous lifestyle, the second they say that, they're gonna die before they can get out.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like I'm gonna quit doing drugs and then they either overdose or get shot, or I'm gonna like leave the gang and then they get shot or die. Every time.
There
Every
was
time.
the Game of Thrones finale. There, or not the finale, like episode 3 of the last season. Like there was two characters that said, after the war is done, we're gonna go and go live on an island by ourselves and just live happily ever after. And then everybody's like, "Oh, they're dead."
Or yeah, that's a death sentence instantly.
Yep. And one of them, sure, well, one of them died, not the other one, but yep.
Mm.
When you said that just now, I was thinking like, oh, they're gonna like. I thought you meant they had already quit. Because if they already quit, if at the beginning of the movie and they had already quit their toxic lifestyle, then the other trope is they're gonna get pulled back in
Get
for
pulled into it. Yeah.
one last thing. Like either it's like one last con job or one last
And then they
contract,
die.
and then they die
Yeah, that's
doing it.
another one. And then the main character feels guilty for bringing them back in.
Yep.
But then like on their deathbed, they're like, it was worth it. I do it all over again.
It was like on one of the Fast and Furious posters, like 3 movies ago, and it like the tagline was like one last ride or something. It was like 3 movies ago.
It's like The Last Jedi, and there were many Jedi after it.
Yeah, yeah.
What's another good example of that? Of like, we're done now. I don't watch the Indiana Jones movies, but is it like that? It's like, oh, we got this one last adventure.
first three weren't really like that. They were kind of set up for that, but like this last one, he kind of got roped into it because of his quote unquote son showed up to needed his help.
What does quote unquote son mean?
Because well, I shouldn't. That I used it improperly. It's a spoiler. He's his son.
Oh,
He
all right.
doesn't know it's his son in the beginning,
Interesting,
or
interesting.
and the son doesn't even know he's the dad. He just shows him.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Well, because like his mom like would always say like what a brilliant man this guy was, and then like he's the greatest archaeologist of all time. So like he needed his help to find something. I think it was to find his mom. So he's like, well, she's always talking about how great this guy is. I'm gonna go find this guy, and he can help me find her.
Okay,
So
sure.
that's another thing, though. Is like characters not knowing that they're their sons or kids or whatever. It's
Yeah, spoilers, dude.
it's like
Spoilers.
he's yours. It's like what? He's mine.
And then they like look off into the distance and they're like trying to figure out how this can happen.
Another one is characters sleeping together once and getting pregnant. Um,
Yes. That's a good
and
one.
like, I watched Vikings with my mom, and she's like, "Oh, he slept with her. She's pregnant." It's like pretty much spot on. Like, boom, slept with her, another kid. Boom, slept with her, another kid.
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Um, if there's a love triangle, two men and one woman, always she's gonna get pregnant. Because then you're like, who's the father?
I guess I don't really watch shows like that.
I mean, I'm drawing that from like Walking Dead, dude. Like that was when I first noticed the
Uh,
trope because I was talking to a coworker once when she was pregnant, and then like I was like, oh man, and then uh, or sh- and then she was like, you didn't see that coming? Like they do that in all the soap operas. It's like two men and one woman. She's one woman. She's always gonna get pregnant, and you're wondering who the father is. Like, sorry, I don't watch enough soap operas.
does anyone really watch enough soap operas?
Uh, Maybe some grandmas. I don't know. We could sit here all day listening out
Memes and tropes
memes
and
and tropes and pet peeves.
for sure. Well, that's what I'm watching. That's what I've been watching this week. I'm gonna press on with Mr. Robot.
Okay. Um, what I've been watching, I actually been watching a lot of uh, sports. The sporty sporters, the sportsmen. I
Oh,
watch the sportsmen play the sportses. I've been watching the French Open. Uh,
oh, interesting. You have thoughts on Naomi Osaka?
yeah. Oh, you following the drama there?
You know I'm addicted to drama.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like how it all played out. Um, I mean, you couldn't write it better. I don't know in Hollywood. Uh, I I think it's good that she pulled out. I think she needs to take some time. I feel like she's. It sounds like she needs some time, and this is like a common theme for her. I think because I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, right after she won the U.S. Open, she fired her coach, like shortly after that, and it's like, why would you fire your coach after you win a big tournament? Usually, you fire a coach because things are not going well, right?
Yeah,
Um, so, and she made a statement saying like she values her happiness and mental health over winning at all costs. So I think this is
interesting.
something that's like it's not new, is what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah, as I would say something like that, it's the implication is her coach was pushing her very hard and she just couldn't.
yeah, and I mean she's still won a bunch of stuff since then with the new coach, so it's not like the coach was all of her success. Um, but yeah, and I remember when I was watching a match when they talked about it, and the female commentator, who's a former player, and she was like, she was very very disagreeable with what when she first said that she wasn't gonna do any interviews, and then she like gave her big opinion. The commentator gave her opinion. She's like, she was like, "Oh, you can't do that. Like, we get paid lots of money, and all you have to do is one interview per match. Like, it's not that big of a deal." And blah 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 blah. And then once like Naomi pulled out completely, and then made that statement about her mental health, and then like she like apologized, and she said, "No, definitely her mental health is should be her number one concern, and I apologize for making those comments," and blah 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 blah. So I don't know. It's kind of like when somebody says like my mental health and everything else is like off the table, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that uh it's funny because it's like she's kind of giving a hot take a little bit on like the commentator, I mean.
Yeah,
It's like that's also kind of what she gets paid to do is to give hot takes and be controversial.
yeah. And I mean, it could have been just been a thing where like, so if you don't do the interview, you got to pay like a fine of 15,000 or 15,000 euros, whatever that is in dollars.
Like a billion yen.
Yeah, yeah. And it could like to me it could have just been like, okay, she's not gonna do it. She's fine with paying the fine every match for not doing the interview. Let her do it. Just stop talking about it, you know.
Yeah,
But then it just blew up, of course, and then so she decided to withdraw instead. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm a big fan of
right.
hers. Like I like her. She's probably my favorite tennis player right now. So hopefully she can uh, turn things around and get in the direction that she wants to get going.
For sure. Did you see Venus has a new doubles partner?
No, who's that?
I don't know her name, but this is their first time playing doubles without Serena.
I didn't know that. They always play together. Always play doubles together.
I think I saw that on ESPN or whatever.
Interesting. Venus is really interesting because she's still playing, but she has not done well in a long time.
Well, she's like 40, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like the last big tournament she had like the she twisted her ankle really really badly in a match, and she still like had a whole set to go, and she still finished the match. Like it was painful just watching her.
Yikes.
Um and I was
I
like,
assume she lost.
yeah, and it wasn't even like the finals or anything. It was like the second round or something. So it was, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
harsh.
guess there's penalties if you pull out of a match, you know. So
Is there really like if you get hurt and you retire, you get
maybe you
banned?
don't get the money that you would get for getting to that round. Maybe you only get the money you get for getting to the previous round. That's what I'm speculating.
I think tennis like golf has some really stupid rules that they need to leave behind and join the rest of the 21st century.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
probably agree.
what's the one where you have to wear white or whatever?
Yeah, Wimbledon. Yeah,
Come
you have
on.
to wear white, and like you can't. I don't think you can show your belly. And yeah, there's a lot of. I don't know. They're
It's
British.
wildly
They're
stupid.
repressed. They're repressed. They're British. You know.
Is that why they have those rules?
I don't know. um, yeah. Yeah, they do
Interesting.
have a lot of. I mean, at least they have like instant replay now. That
Yeah,
was
yeah, it's pretty quick too.
yeah,
It's
and it's like really accurate and good. Um,
yeah,
it's like one of the sports that benefits the most from the instant replay. I think.
for sure. And those balls, they go so fast. Like I don't even know how.
Yeah, like I don't even
Uh,
know how a human eye can catch it sometimes. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Oh
So
well.
yeah, been watching that. Watching Superman and Lois. I'm almost done with that.
Oh, you like
Um,
it?
it's I don't know. I'm just watching it for the sake of watching it. I don't know if I
Because you
like
got
it
to
or
watch
I
it.
hate it. I don't know. It's something to put on where I don't have to pay attention a lot. You know.
Yeah.
So I always watch them when I'm doing something else, and then I've also been trying to catch up on The Expanse.
Yep.
So have you watched that?
No, it's on my list though.
Okay, so
It's like on like the sci-fi communities on Reddit. It's very highly rated.
So I hear so many good things about it, and I struggled to get through the first season,
Interesting.
and then I didn't watch after the first season. I didn't watch it since the first season came out. Um, and then I tried a couple times to get back into it again, and then I just couldn't. And then like my one friend was like telling me like, "Oh, it's just so great! Like we just binged the whole thing through season 3 already, and they're gonna finish pretty soon, like all the way up to season 5." And I was like, "Okay, well I gotta try now." It's like you're like the fourth person to tell me how great this show is. So I'm in the middle of season 2 right now, but it's still not like I don't know. I feel like it's missing something.
Maybe you just need me to explain it to you, you know?
Yes, you watch it, explain it to me, and then I'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it's got all these like super deep hidden meanings which you had to watch like all these other random shows to understand.
Yep, yep. Okay, then you got to catch up too, Josh.
Sure. After Mr. Robot.
And then so then I like went online and like because it's based off of some books, and then uh, the author of this set of books actually like writes his books in a timely manner, and the last book is coming out at the end of this year, which to me kind of blew my mind after being a Game of Thrones fan. But anyway, um, the so I kind of like read the Wikipedia to see like, is this going anywhere interesting? And the wiki like there it just like the things that I read on there, I'm like, this isn't even the same story. This must just be like they must do some drastic changes in the next couple of seasons because it just sounds so bonkers. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
some bonkers stuff happening.
we can only hope.
Yeah, and then so I'm catching up on that. So I'll probably be watching that. Um, Bachelorette's coming out next week, so I'm probably gonna watch that. I probably shouldn't admit that online in public, but yeah,
Bachelorette.
Bachelorette.
Oh, I think I saw a commercial for that.
I didn't realize she was from Seattle, so now I'm kind of like more inclined to watch it.
You're invested.
I usually skip Bachelorette because it's not as fun to watch. It's more fun to watch The Bachelor in my opinion, but because the guy like a bunch of guys drama is just so like it's just a bunch of chads and like alpha mailing each other. It's not fun to watch. But like a bunch of girls being catty and passive aggressive, yeah, that's pretty fun to watch.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe sexist. I don't know. So yeah,
Which is more popular? Like,
I think The Bachelor is more popular because it's the flagship show. That's the one that opens the year every year.
yeah,
Um, so and there's like 20 something seasons of that, whereas Bachelorette is only like 12 seasons.
interesting.
Anywho,
I'm sure there's some like gender politics going on there, right?
what? How do you mean? You mean like,
There's a giant conspiracy to make women less popular by making their show less popular.
or is it they have to put the Bachelorette on because they're trying to be gender equal, even though the ratings are lower than the Bachelor ratings?
Ho ho ho.
I don't
Ho ho
know.
ho.
I don't know. There's a 20-hour debate right there.
Look at this.
Look at this. Okay, well, 90 minutes is probably a good stopping point. Talked about a good number of things. I had a pleasant surprise with the Dark Phoenix discussion there, so I thoroughly enjoyed that.
You didn't see that one coming.
Didn't see that one coming. We'll be back next week, or talking about the Loki premiere next week. Get hyped! And
Loki.
yeah, Bad
Let's
Batch
go.
episode 7, of course. So let's go Loki. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.